Okay. It happened about 15, 20 years. I think it's about 20 years. I've lost count of time and things like that. As you know, as we get younger in our days. Anyway, I was going through a difficult time in my life, and I went out on my own. I went out to Hazyview, to Sabi, and I went for a walk. I walked from Sabi, and I walked down to it's called the Bridal Veil waterfall. I don't know if people know about it, but it was it's quite a walk from Sabi. Anyway, on the way walking out towards that, there was walking through the forest and so on. I came to an open field, and this open field was one of those there with like a sort of a grass kind of field. And when I got there, it was obviously that time of the year when there were lots of white butterflies fluttering all over this field. And when that happened like that, there was like something within me was saying, and I don't know, you know, people say you hear a voice or something like that. I don't know if it was a voice or what it was, but something within me just sort of said, you see those butterflies out there? What you can do is you can get yourself a net. You can go into that field and you can run around and you can swish your net around and you'll catch butterflies. But in the process of catching those butterflies, some will get hurt, a lot will get caught that don't want to get caught, and it takes energy to do that. But at the end of the day, you will be reasonably successful. Spent a lot of energy. And then it was like a kind of a pause. And then it was as if something said to me, but you know what? There's another way. He said, what you do is you go into the middle of that field and put your hands out. Stretch your arms out and your hands out like that. And when you sit quietly in the middle of that field, you will find butterflies will come and sit on your hands. And those that come and sit in your hands want to be there. It takes absolutely no energy at all, and it's fun to you. And that was all. That was all that was there in this whole thing. And then over the last 15 to 20 years, I was thinking about that, saying, well, what does this all mean? And it came to me to realize that in life, there's a very fine line in allowing things to come to you or to chase after them. But in the world that we live today, we're so used to chasing after things to try and make things happen. So, and also, it doesn't mean that you must sit and do absolutely nothing. It means you must become still and hear. And when you hear what you need to do it. And what I found over the years is that I got caught chasing things, but I also found it came to me when things just came to me. They were so fun and it was so easy. And it was just teaching me a lesson to say, in other words, in all these things like that, even now with what we're doing, in other words, allow it to come to you, but be in a state of readiness to hear what's coming your way. So I thought I'd just share that, you know, with everybody to say, to me, it was a very precious thing because I came from a corporate background, and I was an A-type managing kind of engineering management and whatnot. So I was one of those guys that got out there and had to make things happen. And it taught me a lot to change from being that kind of a person to a person that allows things to come to you. And that's fun. And I think that's how our lives should be today. It should be fun and easy. And yeah, I thought I'd just share that. You know?
Thank you. That's beautiful. Yeah, thank you.
And then if you want me to kick off on the manifestation or whatnot, yes, I just see a world that is filled with love and appreciation and gratitude. In other words, beautiful streams flowing. In other words, people, families gathering and having fun, sort of, you know, playing out in the fields, and none of the other stuff. I'm not even going to mention any of the other stuff because that's not That's not the reality we're looking for. We're looking for a reality of good things, of peace and love and forgiveness and fun. Lots and lots and lots of fun. And us all getting together. So that's what I kind of see as a manifestation, and I'm putting forward that we see. So thanks. Thanks, Tanya.
Thank you very much. Okay. Let me see. Maury, have you got something you want to share with us?
For me, the biggest thing that I manifest is that the fear would disappear, because fear is keeping us like in a jail and making us do bad decisions. So I feel fear is that's my vision, that the fear factor would disappear. Don't know how, I just believe it can happen.
I think we can do it. We'll just change the narrative.
Yes, yeah. Mind change, a lot of mind change as well.
Yeah. So let's put that out there.
Yes.
Can I just say something on that? You're using the word fear. Don't even think about fear. When it comes up to you, just say, I choose not to have fear. I choose to know that I'm a divine being, a supreme, lovable person, full of strength and everything else like that. And if we do that, and we just focus on our breathing, it kind of goes away. Just see yourself as that divine being that you are, that divine being that has all the power and everything else like that. And so when fear or something like comes, just turn around and just say, I choose not to look at that thing, and I move on, and I move on. And I reinforce within myself, in the words, who I am. I don't know if that helps at all. That helps me a lot. Whenever I get that, because we all have it. When you have fear, you feel it, but then let it go. And say, I choose a different path. I choose a different way.
That's true words. We have to choose our own reality. You know, it's important. But fear, yeah, a lot of people have still got a lot of fear in them. If we can change that, we can move forward.
Great. That's good. Jay, do you want to add to that?
Yes, thank you. I really don't like to promote, to do self-promotion or things that I'm involved to bring this into a community, but I just want to make you aware, because when we speak about fear, I think this is something that it's a long-term process to change from one, let's call it vibration or mindset, to another one. I'm living in Cape Town since about 18 years, and forgive me my French, I came here as an arrogant asshole, and I needed about many years to change, to become who I am. And this goes back to Gandhi. What we want to see in the world, we have to be the change that you want to see in the world, not do the change in the world. I just want to make aware of, we are running a workshop on the weekend that we actually priced very low for 249 Rand for community members. It's not my style to offer this, definitely not discussed with Tandy before, but maybe the one or other would like to reach out for me, and then I can send more information. I don't want to promote a link or something, but if there is interest, how to overcome fear and how to maybe change your personality in different ways, I can send you a link. I don't want to promote a lot or say a lot of things about this course, but there is something that is very affordable. It's normally about 2,500 Rand for the community. We want to run a try run for 249 Rand. So if there's interest, maybe just let me know and I'll send you a link. And Tandy, I apologize not to have discussed this before with you, but I felt when I hear fear and we know that tools on hand that we can help other people, I just want to put it out there.
Okay. This is a charity that Jay is involved with. He's involved with a couple of charities, and this is one of them. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Jay, for your contribution. Yes, we must be the change. I had a conversation with a family member. Her and her husband are just having a lot of family trouble with a family member that estate that, and the family member that passed away. And her husband is just so down with all the drama that comes with it. And then they live on a farm and they're isolated and they listen to mainstream media and they want me to visit them. But they were talking fear, and he didn't realize that I don't operate like that. And we had a very interesting conversation. And his attitude after the call completely changed, and he's been messaging me the last couple of days, just wanting a better conversation, one that is more optimistic. And it created that mind shift within him, just to tell him we don't have to be afraid. We can actually live a better life. And I gave him quite a few examples. But anyway, so that was my story. Let me see. Bonita, would you like to share something with us?
Hi, everyone. Let's just see. Yes, sure. There are only two choices, really. It's between love and fear. And in every moment, you have a choice between love and fear. And only you can do it. So, like I said in the last meeting, it's necessary to go within, to start feeling your own energy, to decide who you are, because we all need to find our true self. We all need to come back to our innocence, to our child within, you know, because the child has no fear. The child is fearless. And what is important is imagination. To imagine what we want to create in our life, what we want to enjoy, what brings us joy, what brings us love, peace, harmony, because we need to start connecting with nature, because nature is so balanced. It is so centered, and it's only when humanity gets involved and sways from negative to positive and positive to negative. So in this time, we need to learn to be centered, especially with all the chaos around us. And when we are centered, we're almost neutral. And in our neutrality, we can go within, because our mind, the monkey mind, stops talking. When we can really get quiet and go within, we can start feeling what our soul wants, what our dreams are, and not participate in the drama outside of us. We need to start creating. And my vision for a new earth is, top of the list is freedom. That we don't have authority. And in order to gain the freedom, we have to be self-responsible. We have to be responsible in choosing, in self-correcting ourselves and choosing a greater reality, you know, becoming love. As Jay said, not to do, but to be is very important, because when you're being, you are in tune with your own frequency. And I've had a number of out-of-body experiences, which is quite awesome, because you realize that we're not living in a, you know, a lateral world. We're living in a multi-dimensional world. So my dream is to expand. My dream is to see the invisible, to connect, get contact with benevolent beings. Because for me, I don't believe I'm from here. I never felt I was part of this earth. I always felt I was from somewhere else. But I think my purpose was to really, from the beginning, because I never felt I belonged here, was to wake people up. And I went through my own journey, my dark night of the soul. I've got 2 kids. I went through a divorce. I was Catholic, but I'm not now. I'm not religious at all, because my experience as under the auspices of being Catholic taught me a very big lesson. Because what I had experienced was my own hell. And going to a priest to confide in a priest was crazy, because for a man who's not married could give me marriage counseling. So that didn't work. But I learned a lot from my journey. And so then I became more in touch with my own soul, my spirituality. And I learned lessons, great lessons, when I moved for a few months to America, where I learned from Ramtha, my teacher. But, you know, you've got to expand your consciousness. You've got to expand and know that there's more things that has ever been taught at schools, because everything was a lie, is a lie. And when you start getting in touch with your own truth, you start learning and you gravitate towards that knowledge. So my vision for New Earth, firstly, is freedom and the ability to do more things like teleport, telepathy, you know, clairvoyance, that sort of thing. That's my dream. And that we create a reality. Each one of us creates our own reality. So you do want that love, that abundance, that, you know, freedom, free energy. You know, there's so much to learn. We're not even scratching the surface. So yeah, an evolution and expansion of consciousness, and we can create amazing things. So yeah.
Great. Thank you, Bonita.
Pleasure.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Great. Johan, would you like to share with us?
Are you really going to tell us?
Yes, why not?
Really?
We're very brave. We're a brave
Honestly?
bunch. We've got lots of love. We're patient and we're kind, so don't worry about it.
So brave as last time that you fell asleep.
It was 2 o'clock in the morning trying to listen to a meeting.
Ah, don't come with excuses. Okay, I'm going to go maybe a little bit off the beaten track here. Well, this is my truth as I see it. And if you don't agree, that is fine. Everyone has his or her own truth about our reality.
Johan?
As a matter of fact,
Jou hond wil praat met ons.
nee, hey, chat. Yes, okay. Am I clear now?
Yeah.
Did the dog stop talking?
Yes.
Okay. As I said, this is my truth as I see it, and if you don't agree, that is fine. Everyone has his or her own truth about our reality. As a matter of fact, if you disagree, keep it to yourself. I hate people disagreeing with me. Thousands of years ago, a very deviant race created a construct where they imprisoned the then dwellers of Earth. They created this avatar we are trapped into to act as slaves for them. Yes, Earth was and still is a very special place. And after accomplishing the initial goal, their leaders started developing a God complex. And that's another long story. At the moment, they are reinforcing their control over us by dividing us, using our division against us quite successfully. They have accomplished this control over us by firstly removing the true knowledge of who and what we are, lying to us about almost everything under the sun, to strengthen their control and hold over us. Never mind the technology they are using against us to strengthen their control. One of the very successful control mechanisms is religion. And that was brought in to strengthen their hold for a very specific and yet known place. And I've said about all that. Let's go to the real meat of the story. From where I sit, my truth is that we are all a spark of the divine creator, God, eternal within the body, having a personal experience to add to the collective in as much as we are allowed because of the constant interference from them to shape this experience to the narrative. I am, we are all one, imbued with power and amazing abilities. We had no real concept or knowledge of this until recently, when the truth started to emerge about our real beingness. This is still denied and scoffed at by the majority of people. I would say that is still trapped in the lies and deceit. But those that has grasped and awakened to the truth has scored a crack in the wall of control of their construct. As more comes to this realization, the 100th monkey phenomena, it will result in the toppling, demolishing of the controlling wall in its totality. Our victory is written in stone. The path to that is still in the making, and it may be painful for many before we reach the end. Until we do not have a clear and total understanding or vision of who we truly are, we are muddling in the dark. This knowingness will imbue us with the power to truly create the future we all long to see and experience. Without this, we can and will create that what we do not want. This is also where it is extremely important that we have the same vision for the final outcome, as only one future is possible for us as a conglomerate. This, in my humble or not so humble opinion, is the true crux of the matter that we all should endeavor to reach, not hit knowledge, but the true understanding and knowingness of our divinity. Remember, no one is higher or better than you, and no one lower. There may be entities that is more knowledgeable than you at present, but it does not mean they are more than you. They can't be, because there is only one creator from which and in whom we all are. Yes, we know that thoughts are and words have power to shape our circumstances, our world around us, and we should be extremely careful of what we think and say, not to attract that we do not want to come into existence and become reality. Truly engage our brains before we run off our mouths. Also, I just want to mention this. Many are talking about love, and many have the wrong idea of what love is. It is not that mushy feeling you have for your loved ones. It is in fact the 6 heart values together that represents love, and they are appreciation or gratitude, compassion, humility, forgiveness, understanding, and valor or courage. It is the combination of this, of nowness, being in the now, and applying these words in our behaviors. That is what love is. I especially want to point to the last one, valor or courage. That is an ingredient sadly missing from lives of the many today. I really want to stress the next point. Start your day by doing this. First thing in the morning after waking up, take a few moments to create the day you want to experience. Don't leave it to chance to create it for you, as it could be far from what you want to or expect. When we concentrate, focus on what we want to create so much that we lose track of ourselves. The mortality we were taught to believe in by indoctrination, and only realizing our infinite true self, we will become the true creators we are in fact. Thank you all for listening. Not that you have a real choice though.
Thank you, Johan. Okay, let's see. For the benefit of Dana and Ina, we are talking about the way we want to see our world to be going forward, and Eves, sorry. Can I perhaps ask for Kyle and Cole and Bonnie, and if Rowan is with you, if you guys want to share with us, if you've got anything to share.
Well, it's actually, I'm pretty much just, I think I'll speak on behalf of Mom and Dad here too, just listening to everyone else. You guys all spoke really wonderfully, and it's quite amazing to see that there can be so many people out there that you've never met who can share so many similar ideas and ideals for the future. I liked many different elements of all your stories. Benjamin's story of the butterflies was really something special, and it's seeing that simplicity and almost like imagining a world where you can have decentralized communities and people just happy and vibrant. And earlier on, I was myself picturing like just being in some really chilled country clothes or something, and just being able to work in the soil and grow plants and hear people laughing around you, and even just sitting here and knowing that there's other people that are going through the same thing. You don't feel so alone, and this world can make people feel very alone and almost like it's a race to see who reaches the end first, but ultimately the end just doesn't feel like anything unless it's done with the community and it's actually added something to the world before you left. So I guess that's what that felt like to me, and what Benjamin was saying, and what Johan was saying, and having those values and waking up in the morning. I mean, the last couple of days I've started getting up earlier, also just reflecting on my life and doing a bit of just some workouts just to get some life and movement into my body, because a lot of the time you're just sort of sitting, especially in IT and working behind your computer, and it can get very tiring, and it is mind, body, soul. So yeah, just having all those disciplines and finding something for yourself and being what you want to see and change. And very much also agreeing with Bonita in the sense that having those out of body experiences and not putting your belief system into a box like a religion. And it's fine if you feel that a certain sect or whatever it is fits with what you believe now, but I've always held a more fluidic viewpoints of spirituality, in that the sense that yes, we have a divine creator that's brought us into this world. Be nice to other people, do no harm, and there are many different dimensions and things to experience, and don't be afraid of having altered states of consciousness, be it either through deep meditation and breathing, or ayahuasca, or whatever other means. I do believe as time goes on, as spiritual beings, and the more we connect, the more we'll be able to actually do these things with our own body, whether it be unlocking DNA or some other method. the spiritual ascension as opposed to technological ascension, which I believe is the war we're currently going through now. But yeah, just for me, myself, how I found myself right now is I don't want to go back into a corporate space ever again. I hate corporate IT, and I don't want to use the word, so I won't, because this is a space for creating peace and love and what we do want. But I do know that working in an environment like that, I was in Joburg before previously, beginning of the year, our family moved down to the Cape. And yeah, I've been in positions where you just get your soul crushed. You go in with the best of intentions and you come out just feeling burnt out. And I don't want to apply my mind and the power that God's given me in my body to create, it just feels like you have your energy stolen from you in the form of hard taxes. And I understand supporting the community, but I believe we can do that by creating structures together to make a brilliant community without needing to steal from each other's energy and, push one person or a group of people forward and not benefit the whole. You live for your life, and through who you are, it automatically radiates to others and allows them to create in their own magnificence. So it's a group of magnificent creators rather than one person who's struggling so hard to be first.
I'm not eating without.
Oops. Kyle, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, no, sorry.
There you go. I don't know what happened.
That's all right. But yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, we're with you guys in the sense that the old world and the old structures and the way of doing work and just the way that we get up, everything, the times we place around things and these artificial limitations that we placed on ourselves and society and how we could have set ourselves free a long time ago with so many incredible technologies. It's frustrating to go day by day and try and wear a mask out in public, literally and physically. And the physical part is just absurd. Completely frustrates the living hell out of me. Also knowing, I don't even want to talk about it, the pandemic, but I just want to see it end. I want to see it end so that we can move forward into this world that we're all envisioning and do it without feeling you need a 9 to 5 for the rest of your life. Because we can literally, if we were all standing up right now and we had the resources right at our disposal, this would be a reality. We wouldn't be talking about it, we'd be creating it. And that's where I am right now. I've got my 2 hands, I've got my mind, and I want to create. I don't just want to talk about it anymore. I don't want to hopium. I want to build something now. And I'm fully prepared to do that. But yeah, that's just me. That's all. Thanks.
That was beautiful. Thank you very much. Okay. Let me see. Ina, would you like to share with us?
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Thandi. I just want to get this going here from my side. I don't have a camera, so I'm not going to do that. I've had quite a busy week since last week, Tuesday. I call it my roller coaster week since last week, helping a 94-year-old that has no one in South Africa. He became a hermit since the lockdown and just deteriorated every week. I've been helping him weekly for 3.5 years, close to 4 years now, to buy his food and give him feedback to his family in the UK and Canada. The fight to have a say, live in life is just not possible in our old world. And what I mean here is that, it is absolutely a fight, even with the laws and everything. You have to fight for something that you want in life and to say something in life. And the old world is no more. Up for our rights. I've actually managed to overcome the health system and to have help, now placing him in a frail care. Yesterday, he was put into a wheelchair. He couldn't even get up. 3 girls helped him. I had to get him into a car and I just pushed him back into the hospital and I left him there and I said, no more. Today, the act that we have actually helped a lot as well, the laws and so, and it gave him the right to have a space, a safe space to stay now. He's going to a frail care, medical help, and being a healthy person again, to have a right. Because as that hermit stayed at home with COVID-19, it was not fair on anyone. And I could see how he just went off all the time. We hope that he will enjoy the stay for the time left there. He is 94 years old, and I'm not sure how long it's going to take, but he might still make it. So let's see. Now, I've created in 16 seconds. I see the world and the people healed, peace and love, abundant. I hear the things that we want to hear. And I'll say this for everyone. Feeling safe and fearless, sensing and smelling the roses and speaking and living our truth and living in faith always. That's all that I've got to say.
Thank you, Ina. Yeah, I think it's, I really would like the idea of us living more simpler lives. Our lives are way too complicated. It would be really good. I really want to see families have more time to spend together, especially parents with children. I think our work weeks are way too long. Our commitments are way too hectic. And I really look forward to that, simplifying if it's at all possible, especially for those that choose it. That would be really nice.
Okay, I just want to mention, sorry, Tandi, I'm going to post this there because it's used by the 5 senses as Abraham told us how to use it. So I'm going to just post it and you can just have a look at how I've done it with the see, the hear, the feel and all that. Thank you for that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Donnie, would you like to share with us?
Man, yeah. I was listening to Kyle. Was it no Kyle or Carl? One of
Kyle, it was Kyle speaking.
It was me, Kyle. The picture on the screen.
And yes, and it was really good to hear that our young people are so switched on. And obviously, this guy has the power in himself to get his family around him. I want to salute you, my friend. You are achieving much more than most of us. So go on. Don't let anybody break your speed, please. In most of my environment, I'm the crazy guy. And I'm getting used to it, but sometimes it just get to me, because if my children and so on are having a braai with me, I can't really talk to them because they don't want to hear this kind of talk. So that's also that part that makes you very alone. But I just want to share with you guys, you know, we can dream and we can visualize our beautiful realities and we must do so. But sometimes the dark part must be creeps up to you, and must be handled. So yesterday morning, it just happened to me that our health and safety lady came to me for a bit of help, and I got hold of this document because I had to help her rework on it. And it was a lawyers group that is sending out their services to the corporate world for just in case there is a forced vaccination and how it's going to influence the corporate environment. So my office per se. And all the pros and cons, how it's going to you are with the MJ.
All done.
Anyway,
Sorted.
so in elk geval, so what happened at the end of the day, I got sniff of this letter, and our lawyers sent it to the executive management group, and that was now in turn circulated to the health and safety lady to start working on a draft document for the employers, so that and by implication one can say this law says this and that law said this and this law said this and that law said this, but at the end of the day they get around the corner to force you to be vaccinated with all the beautiful laws and the ugly laws and so on. And I had to handle it from my side, so I went to the lawyers and in our group, and I asked them, "What's your stand on this?" No, this was just a ter info kind of story. It's a sales group that promoting wara. But at the end of the day, one of the execs took the liberty to start working on a draft policy to force the people. So I immediately told them if they go further, they must go and talk to this guy. And if they want to go further on this, I will get a letter from the highest authority to put them out of business. So just a lot, that is from the side that I had to handle besides my work. The long and the short is, last night when I got home, I was so tired I couldn't put the one foot in front of the other. So yes, it's good to have our beautiful visions, but if something like this cross your path, don't stand aside, take it on. That's just my take on it, and yes, it's going to deplete your energy, but stand up and join a group like this, like tonight, and then your battery will be charged again. All right, that's my story.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Donnie. Eves, would you like to share how you would like the world to look going forward? Eves, are you there?
Yeah, sorry, I struggle with the mute button always.
Thank you.
You know, it's so tough because I think all the families around me and everybody I know are going through such unbelievable turmoil, and their family splits, and there's so many things happening, and it's hard to stay positive in an environment like that. But for me, I'm feeling a bit at a loss of words because it sometimes feels like no matter what I do or what you say or where you go or who you speak to, it just comes down to the thing of what you believe is true and what you believe is not true. And that you have to, like the previous caller said, put your foot down. And I'm facing a very, very hard situation in court and to protect children, and it's tough when you have to learn all the legalities, because when I look at the legal system and the banking system and the financial system, which I studied for a few years, it's so vast. The Bill of Rights, the Constitution added on. The Constitution is not that big, but the Bill of Rights, I mean, it's so massive. I kind of sometimes wonder, who the heck put this together? Where does it come from? It must have taken years and years and years and years to put that information together. And I feel like it comes from another dimension that's existed for 50 million years, because it's so much. And it makes it very difficult for people like us. And on the call, Kim was talking about them saying that they think we can't do it. Well, yes, like we're going to have to simplify things if we want to do it. And I think with using natural law, that will be simplifying things. And I think it's a matter of getting people to understand and face natural law. And I would like to see a world where everybody honors natural law. and honors another person as themselves, and understand that, I know I'm not a religious person, but love your neighbor as yourself. It really is a big, big thing to say, loving your neighbor as yourself, because that's how you really should be. And if you love your neighbor as yourself, you won't hurt them, right? Because you don't want to be hurt. So it's such a simple thing. But people have these beliefs that, you're going to hurt me if you're not vaccinated because I'm vaccinated and you're going to cause me to get sick. But it just doesn't make sense because you've been vaccinated. So many things don't make sense. And I think I just want to focus on things that make sense. Go with natural law. Look after each other's children, help each other, look after each other, see if there's anything that you can do to swap and trade. And I just don't right now have a full picture of what I want because I'm in the throes of a very bad situation, which makes my vision very cloudy. So I'm wading through it and trying to find a picture that I want. But the only thing I can really think of is that natural law and the love your neighbor as yourself and understanding unconditional love. If we can't practice that, we're going to disintegrate and then we will be extinct and then we will just be energy consciousnesses. And we'll need to kind of find a way to create another physical world where we can exist. I don't really know. I don't have the answers. Let me just close the door here. But what's something that was bothering me, or that's pressing on my buttons, is that when in the call, that round table call, they were talking about manifesting your reality without money and just calling it in and things happening like that. I've been aware of that kind of concept, I want to call it, for a long time. And it's for us in this kind of a world where we've been programmed to honor money in such a huge way. It's very hard to live like that. It's extremely stressful. And if you consider that extremely stressful, you can't succeed in it. So you need kind of little roads, like little goals along the way for you to show yourself that it actually does work. And I've created some of those for myself. I wanted some trees for the garden and I was thinking, how am I going to get these trees? Because they cost a lot and I need to put in big trees and I've got these alien trees that are invading everything. And I eventually just thought, oh, it will be so nice. And I let it go and I left it. And just a week later, there was this lady who came along and said, listen, I've got these trees in my garden and I want you to take them out because they're becoming too big. And if anybody wants them, I can have them for free. And I said, okay, I'll take them. And I got them and I planted them. And now I've got these 7 big trees in my garden and it didn't cost me something. So then, yes, okay, it does work. But there are stressful situations where you think, well, why doesn't it work in this stressful situation? So I don't know. It's just things that I'm observing and looking at everything and thinking, well, gee, I don't really know where we're going. I just want to have faith. And lean on faith and know that everything's going to be okay. Yeah, that's all I want to say.
It was beautiful, thank you. And it helps not to push too hard as well. I think Jay wants to add to something you've said. Jay?
Coming. Yes, yeah. Thank you, Eve. This was very beautiful. I just wanted to add something. You say, love your neighbor as yourself. And this, there's one part that is mostly forgotten, and this is maybe also a root of our situations. Love yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. I think many situations are coming from the point that we don't love ourselves. If we would love ourselves to the fullest, much less can affect us, and we'd be much more able to share the love that we feel. And that's what I feel with love and with money and with everything. People are so afraid of giving things away. But the concept of, let's say, an idea, if I have an idea and I share it with you, I still have this idea, it's still in me. And if I give away love, this is still in me. And the same is for me with wealth and money. We have to create our thinking from I believe, from a money based thinking to a wealth and grateful feeling. So Whenever I started to give more and more and more and more away, it just came back and back and back and back. So it's not because I want more, but it's I don't give my vibration away. I don't give my wealth creation or my wealth vibration away. And yes, it's hard to see if you can't have food on the table. But exactly as you say, when you look for other solutions and say, I would love to create trees in my garden. Sometimes it works out. And there's a saying that from one of my teachers who says, from people who have a lot and where we are at the moment, the biggest difference is time and the size of our dreams. The bigger our dreams are, the more we believe in them, the easier they can come. If we have doubt, for example, if we say we want to have 15 cars in our garage and we don't believe that we even can finance one, nothing will happen. But if we just say, tomorrow I want to have the money, I want to get a free ride to work or whatever, things that are plausible and that are working and that are in our belief system and that are believable to us, where we don't have resistance to manifest them. And that's, I think, the right way to do it. For me, one of my other teachers always says, if you don't manifest what you want, it's either too big / your doubt is too big, it's not the right time and something better is for you working, or you're having a certain resistance, a counter vibration, so to say. I hope this makes a little sense to all of you or to some of you. But thanks for sharing, and yeah, don't forget to love yourself. This is so important.
Thank you, Jay, for sharing. Eves, you've got something to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to that. And I think what that is a very important thing is, if you don't love yourself, then how do you, if you hate yourself, then you're going to hate your neighbor, right? So it's the mirror. And when you're in a very difficult situation, like I'm in a very difficult situation, and the path that I'm choosing is to assist the person who will meet their demise to, instead of meet their demise, have a chance. Say, well, instead of you meeting your demise, let's see if you can rather have a look at things differently and do things differently and rehabilitate yourself so that you can also have a chance for grace. Because grace goes beyond mercy and forgiveness. Grace is all-encompassing, and it goes hand in hand with unconditional love. And so I'm choosing that path, and I'm hoping, I'm having faith that that works out. Because if I cause a person to meet their demise because of themselves, I haven't found a solution. So for me, in a global situation, if we look at the global situation, they were talking on that call as well about use your anger to mobilize yourself, use that energy to mobilize yourself. Yes, we are angry. And in my personal situation, yes, I am angry, but it doesn't mean that I have to destroy the person that I'm angry with. If I can use the energy of the anger to mobilize myself, but then still at the same time have a wider vision and understand that if I am so angry that I cause destruction, even if it is of my enemy, then I am splitting things up. But they also say that there's no help for these people. There's nothing that can be done about them. So what's going to happen to them? They're going to be transmuted into millions of pieces of little energy, and it'll take millions and millions of years for their little pieces of elementals to come back into a body again. And that would be a process of rehabilitation too. So if one can understand that, then you can think, okay, well, then they do really have a chance for redemption, because over many years they will find themselves again through the universe. But I mean, these are really big, wide thoughts, and I'm not sure if I'm making myself clear, but sure, it is a pretty heavy situation that we are in. And to be able to practice unconditional love and find a solution for this situation, even if it is your neighbor that believes in vaccination and you don't, if you can find a way, it would be a good thing.
Yeah, thank you. That's beautiful. Marius, wil jy vir ons iets deel?
Hoeveel tyd het julle?
Ons praat vanaand oor hoe die tipe wêreld wat ons wil hê, wat ons as ons vorentoe gaan. Watter tipe wêreld wil ons hê vir die toekoms?
Okay. Moet ek Afrikaans praat?
Jy kan Engels
Dit lyk my
praat.
almal is
Praat
Afrikaans.
Engels, daar's ek weet nie, ek was net Jay wat ek van weet wat nie Afrikaans kan praat nie. Miskien is daar ander mense ook.
Ja. Weet julle wat, ek gaan Engels praat want ek dink ek raak bietjie beter, ek het bietjie beter met my Engels se thought process as Afrikaans. So guys, yeah, Tandy, thank you so much. Sorry I'm late. Apologies for the background noises. Jay, good to see you. Sorry that I'm getting into the late stage, but I mean I listened to Eve's and to comments that Jay made. And I thought I'm going to just jump in and so share some of my own personal experiences, because the call it the enlightening or enlightenment process that I've been through over the last couple of weeks since I met with Eunice and I was introduced to Life Force and the Assembly for South Africa, and what the mission and purpose of this organization is and so on. My journey started about 20 years ago, but essentially in 2012, I did a really significant strategy for one of my companies, and I found that there's 1.5 billion people, and it was part of a strategy. We connected this to the private equity space, and it was the plan was to roll out into Africa, Asia, and Middle East. That was the plan. The plan. We realized that there's a gap. We linked it to the strategy, and as part of the whole analysis process, we found that I found that 1.5 billion people at the time lived on $1.25 a day. Now that it's not information that you know necessarily. You know that there's poverty in the world, and in South Africa you see it every single day. But as soon as you sort of open up when I saw the data and the information, I thought to myself, it's impossible. In 2012, at that time it was 30% of the world population lived with $1.25. And it unlocked an entire process. I mean, I sold my shares of my company in a meeting where my partners went into a completely different direction, and I couldn't go with it. I sold my shares, and over a 2-month period, I realized, okay, what am I going to do with my time going forward? And I said to myself, you know what? I am not going to die one day and say that we've let this world go to smithereens on my watch. I'm not going to. When I put my head on the pillow, I want to know that I've changed. I have had an impact. And I mean, that thought, the decision I made at that point 9 years ago, unleashed an entire journey of the last 9 years. If I don't have time to tell you what that decision made and created over the last 9 years. It ended up to where we are now. In the last couple of weeks, things also very interesting changes and so on. But obviously, when I was introduced to the thinking and which is, I think a lot of people deal with this, is that I don't know if you see my video. Over the last couple of days, I've been in meetings where I've explained to people that if you look at my hand here and you look at my hand there on the screen, people find it very difficult to jump from here, from my left hand to my right hand in one jump. It's actually impossible in terms of understanding and where we should be, given everything that we're going through at this point at a global level, all the issues politically, economically, socially, poverty, everything that we deal with at a global level. It's very difficult for people to jump from that level to that level all at once. The there's a principle in organizational development and management and leadership is that if you want to get people to move, you have to let them jump this far, from here to there, then from there to there, then from there to there, then from there to there, and from there to there to there. I must be honest with you, when I started listening to what Kim and what Life Force and what it's the stuff that I mean, the book that Kim wrote, I went and read the book. Then I realized, oh my word, okay, now the stuff that they taught me at school, okay, but the Second World War is not actually all true. There's some stuff that's not true. Then you find out that Hitler was part of the, what's the family? Not Rockefeller, the other family. See, then you found these type of things, and then you go through this that one, and I'm telling you, it was kind of it shocked my world. Now, I'm a well-educated, well-experienced, well-traveled global citizen, but let me tell you, it rocked my world. It shifted. I mean, I had to jump literally from my understanding from here to there in days and weeks because I want to get my head around. Because my conversation with Thandi and Eunice and Jay is obviously at a different level. But I realized, listen, if we want to move people, we're going to have to do this in a different way. Okay. We're going to have to think about this practically. We're going to just to go back to my journey. I mean, when I stepped out of my comfort zone in 2012, I actually got involved with the process for about 4 years to develop an operating model, practical operating execution model to implement a process in Africa, Asia, and Latin America so that we can actually shift poverty. It was an operating model. It was practical. It was a strategic, high-level process. It still is, and part of the conversation. But it took me 4 years. The discovery, which for us to move people from where they are, and if you ask me the question, what is the perfect world we want to create? This is not so easy. I mean, Thandi, you phoned me last night, and I was thinking about it between the meetings, in and out, and while I was traveling today, I was thinking about what do I share tonight? Sorry. Because the jump for people is that if you bombard people and if you shape these things, what Kim and Tank are sharing with people, it is so far from where they are. Most people. I was in a meeting yesterday and I said to the guys, listen, and it's a church group, okay? Now, we all know now what organized religion did to the world through the Vatican. And we read that book, Operation Gladio, and I thought, oh my word, okay, that sort of shifted my world. The problem is if there are 800 million Christians in Africa who have been raised with certain belief systems, to shift them to say, listen, you need to understand the principle of sovereignty, and you need to understand the principle of dominion that God has created. Even if that's the thing what you said, the whole principle of natural law. I learned it. I was taught that years and years ago. I sort of mentally, psychologically understood it, but it never went to my core. I was in a meeting this morning. And suddenly I realized, but listen, intellectually I understand the principle of dominion and sovereignty, but it hasn't been part of my core, and my core determines my actions and my behaviors. So if I do not change the core, I can tell people mentally and psychologically what it is, and we can take them through a so-called training intervention and education intervention. But unless we transfer the intellectual understanding into the core of their being so that it becomes action and becomes behavior. Okay, now it's a kind of different in the conversation. And I've gone through the process, and I'm sure a lot of people go through this. So there's so much stuff that we're gonna have to work through practically and doing it consistently over time, and then back it with evidence, back it with proof, so that the intellectual and the heart and everyone can actually engage with the changes that's necessary. But the other problem is we don't have time. We can't wait 10 years. We don't have 20 years. It's like we have to do it as soon as possible so that we can start seeing the changes and then start rolling the results from one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And the only way you can do it is to think in scale, to think in, listen, we need to put, and that's my conversation now, is put 1,600 to 2,000 assemblies down in 18 months. Get them ratified, engage the project, execute project, boom, 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 boom. So it's a very operational, very tactical, very practical execution process. And then if you have the wave, and you can only see change if you have a critical mass. If there's critical mass of understanding of results that you see, the conversation changes. Because if you've got 2,000 assemblies in South Africa, and in every single assembly, you've got 2 or 3 projects that have been successfully executed and the results are seen, and you look at the collective results in terms of what it does to the South African environment, whether it's environment, whether it's community infrastructure, clean water, clean, everything that we actually know it's our right according to our constitution. Don't let me go there. But the only way we will be able to see this at scale, to see this changes, if we see we plan in scale, we execute in scale, and the successes of the projects that's being executed from assembly to assembly to assembly to assembly, that become the standard result of the engagement, and people will say, whoa, it worked there, it can work here, so let's do it. And it works. And the next one will say, okay, it worked there, and there, we can do this. Yeah. Here's the interesting thing. Coming back to Constitution, sorry, my final comment, and then I'm going to stay quiet. The other day, I checked, I thought to myself, because of what we've done, we've done a whole analysis process of how to see, we've built an impact investment solution, but a practical, scalable impact execution model. So as part of the process, we had to go and look at, in strategic context, we have to look at what we call pestle analysis in terms of countries and what's the political, and economic, and social, and the what's in the legal framework that's relevant in a specific country. So that's the framework. So I pulled all the constitutions, and one of the first things I wanted to know is to listen in terms of equality. Now, systemic exclusion has been my bugbear for the last 3 years, because I realized we're dealing with a systemic exclusion reality, which impacts people's ability to participate in economic activity. I wrote a book on that, by the way, and it has become my bugbear. So systemic, I didn't know the impact of it or where it comes from until now. The last couple of weeks, I realized, oh my word, so this is where it comes from. And it dawned on me. So all these revelations came through to me over the last couple of weeks since I've been introduced to this life force. But in the constitutions, I've looked at equality, and the only 2 countries in the world where the word equality do not appear in. Guess the 2 countries that it doesn't appear in. Israel and Brunei, both Jewish countries. In their constitutions, there's not a word equality in their constitutions. Both Jewish countries. I thought, well, okay, that's interesting. Why is that? I went and go back, and I thought, well, okay, let me go back to the data set and see how many countries acknowledge sovereignty. Do you know that 81 countries in the world, I just need to get the numbers now really, straight. 81 countries refer to sovereignty, refer to country national sovereignty. Only 10 countries don't refer to country or individual sovereignty. There's about 200 nations in the world. 90, 109, 110 countries, all of them refer to, they acknowledge that we the people are sovereign. It says specifically in the constitution of 110 countries that we the people are sovereign, and governments are appointed on the back of the sovereignty of the people. Guess which country doesn't fit in there? South Africa doesn't acknowledge sovereignty.
Oh.
Dawned on me. It doesn't. Go and look at the constitution. It doesn't say it. Other countries in Africa, most countries in Africa, except South Africa, actually say, we the people are sovereign, and everything else is based on the sovereignty of the people of the DRC, people of Ethiopia. Not in South Africa. Interesting. So if you talk, I mean, you mentioned something about the legal system. This is exactly the battle we're going to fight. I mean, we've been planning political pushback over the last 3 years. We know that we're going to get political pushback. We know we're going to get legal pushback of people that can't move because they stay within the system. We need to fight. They will fight, and they defend the system because they don't know anything else. Now we need to go think future, perfect position. What is this position? This on my screen. What is that? A world of equality, equal opportunity, world of education, a world of utopia. I would love that. But to jump from there to there, we're going to have to do this in increments. And we're going to have to do this very practically, very strategically, very tactically, move people. And we won't be able to do a pea shooter strategy. We're going to have a shotgun strategy. Because pea shooter, I don't know if you remember pea shooters when you're at school. You chew a little piece of paper and you put it in your pen and you shoot the guy in 3 or 4 seats in front of you behind the ear. But it's a little piece of paper and you shoot and you hit. But we can't use a pea shooter strategy anymore. We don't have time. We have to have a shotgun strategy. And I don't know what exactly that is, but I'm sure we're going to figure that out together. I know I've said a lot, but I thought I just wanted to drop the stuff. I mean, if I have gone through this, I can imagine how many people will find it very difficult to transition from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next very quickly to where we want them to be, so that we have a collective consciousness that can actually change the world we thought we knew. That, I mean, I'm struggling with that. Now I'm keeping my mouth shut. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Marius. That was lovely. Yves, do you have something to add to that?
Sorry, man, I know the time is flying.
Yeah.
I just was listening to Marius there, and I think it reminded me, or it made me think of a miracle kind of situation that I found myself in once when I had it was kind of like a half dream vision kind of thing where I was surrounded by mirrors. And like in degrees, each degree had a mirror. And when I stood and looked into the mirror, I could see forever, because there's a mirror behind me also reflecting forever to the back. And while I was standing there and looking at these two tunnels, I want to call them these mirrors, I realized that if you turn just 10 degrees to the left, or let's say you turn 90.
We've lost you, Yves.
In front of you and then behind you is exactly, hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. So the image that you see, if you turn 90 degrees and you have a new mirror in front of you and a new mirror behind you, the image is different. And I understood that the mirror in front of me is the future, and the mirror behind me is my history. And that if I turn to another mirror to change my future, my history is also different. And then I understood that if you remember your history as if it brought you to the place where you are in your dream, then you can rewrite your future by remembering your history differently. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So with having United Network, I was feeling like, maybe we should start a YouTube channel or whatever channel, and we should start broadcasting all the good news and the good things that happened in the past, and kind of, which is exactly what they do, is just change it and tweak it to be positive. And that by doing that, we broadcast the news, which is history, and we predict the future based on our new history, so that we, like that, can put out the information so that more people can realize this and see the positive side of everything that's happened in our past. Then we can change the future like that. I know it's a concept, but when I had this kind of vision, it made such a huge impact on my life. And now it has caused procrastination, because it is a little bit mind-blowing. So, but I recently remembered it again, and I thought, but that's what I'm going to do in my life. I'm going to tell a different story about my history. And by doing that, I will be clicking the clock towards the mirror that will bring me what I really want in life, because I've changed my history. Maybe we can do something like that.
I think yes. I think Jay wants to share something with us.
Yeah, beautiful shared with Eve. Very much. Thank you very much. If we just look at the word history, just go one step further. It's not his story, it's your story. So if you change your story, you change the future. So whatever you tell yourself becomes true for the future and how you see the past. There is a scientific research, I can't remember the exact number, but many things of the story that we repeat over and over and over are actually not true. We just make up our story on the go. So if we tell a story how bad or how good something was, up to 50% in this research was shown that actually was completely different. We just by time change our own story. And if we do this powerful in creating our own story from a positive way and always look at the positive of the things, our story is great, and our future is great, and our vibration is great. So just a little add on to your beautiful mirror picture.
Thank you, but it can only be done if your ego is null and void, hey?
It's a learning. Ego will never be null and void, but I think by time we can be able to be more self-aware and less ego. Ego is actually not a bad thing. It's also about self-preservation. You see, we have to have our alarm system on. It's just if we only live in ego and not in self-awareness, then it becomes maybe a problem.
Yeah.
So it's a continuous learning and growing. So no one is probably will ever be perfect, and we shouldn't even think that we are perfect, or as I always say, I know that I don't know, and even that I'm not sure about.
Well, thank you, Jay. I have actually created a YouTube channel for us, and I'm just trying to get all the settings right, and I've got someone helping me so that we can start broadcasting on there, not broadcasting, but put certain meetings on there that won't get kicked off or flagged, like last week's meeting and the meetings that we have and have had regarding creating a community assembly. Those will all be on there. And then we can add positive content, which is absolutely wonderful and uplifting. So yes, it's in the making. And I'm also envisioning some kind of interviews with people. But I'm thinking about how we can do that. Okay, let me just ask Darren van der Berg, would you like to share something with us?
Sure. So I am incredibly grateful for tonight. I'm incredibly honored for what's been shared. It's really humbling to kind of be a part of this. And I think I live in a hybrid world of possibilities. So I come from the perspective of, if you tell somebody for long enough that they're stupid, they will believe that they're stupid. So it comes back to what I think MJ was saying earlier. And unfortunately, I don't believe that that's linked to me as a person. I think that's linked to my bloodline. So if my bloodline for the past 3,000 years or 2,000 years or whichever length of history you kind of subscribe to has been told you are subject to a ruler, you are dumb, you are here to work for me, that is deeply instilled in a bloodline. So my ego, my psyche, my dialogue, my belief system is not just linked to my past 40 odd years. And that's obviously coupled with me engaging with my wife and her bloodline and the whole link. And I suppose for some, back to Adam and Eve, if that's a direction that you go, I believe that the future, or the next part of the future. So my belief system is what my wife and I are exploring. So we're busy exploring the concept of biodiverse, self-sustaining farming. We're not the first, it's been done many times. There's a really good movie out called The Biggest Little Farm. I watched it recently, and the guy said something most intriguing. He said, the farm really started working. Sorry, let me put it into context. The context of The Littlest Big Farm is that him and his wife created a farm that was it was a diverse farm. So it wasn't just farming fruit or just cattle or just, it was the whole ecosystem. So the ecosystem looked after itself. So for example, when they had a problem with snails, they let the ducks in and the ducks ate the snails. When they had problems with coyotes, they let the dogs sort the coyotes out. When they had problems with the fruit flies, they let the hawks came and ate the smaller birds. And the whole farm sustains itself. So it totally sustains itself. And it took him 7 or 8 years to get there. And his one comment was very intriguing. He said, when I just sit and observe what nature is posing to be a problem. So he had a major problem with gophers. He's like, you walk outside and gophers be running up and down the fruit trees and there's just thousands of them. He's like, when you sit back and observe what is a potential problem that nature is presenting, and nature is offering you the solution at the same time. So the observation is what creates the innovation, which then creates the solution. So there's it blew my mind because I don't believe that I observe enough. So I play in tech, I play in the tech companies, and when you sit back and observe what's going on, I believe that in my world and in the circles that I run in, people are so busy trying to solve the problems, solve the vaccine, solve the masks, and it becomes aggressive. It sits here aggressively, and I don't find peace in that because I get so afraid. And even when I'm watching the positive channels, they often speaking positively against the bad thing, because there's an agenda around the discussion of why I'm being positive to mitigate the negative, which is an agenda in and of itself. And it goes back to the whole discussion that if heaven exists and you die and go to heaven, can you make a mistake in heaven? Can you sin? Because if you can't make a mistake in heaven, then you're in a jail. If you're in a world of perfection where you can't do anything wrong, well, then there's no choice, right? And there's no choice, there's no freedom, and there's no freedom, there's no decision. So we live in this dichotomy of I choose to get vaccinated and I choose not to get vaccinated at the moment. And by me trying to enforce my fear, my knowledge, my humanity, what I understand onto someone who wants to get vaccinated, am I then doing exactly to them what's being done to me? So being forced into a decision that I feel is right. Okay, so here's the space that I'm playing in. And there is a philosophy that my family subscribed to. You spoke about it, the culture of honor. And we term the culture of honor being that the only person that you can control on a good day, is yourself. So we live in the world of trying to control ourselves. So when the fear or the anger or the emotion, the gift of the emotion rises, it's going, well, why are you here? Thank you, fear. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it. Why are you here? Am I going to subscribe to you? No, you can take a backseat. Thanks, happiness, for being here. Why are you here? Great. And so we're walking in this scenario. So in this kind of context of what we're exploring this self-sustaining, biodiversified farming initiative. And there's a few really cool spots in South Africa, like really cool farms going out there. And our desire is, it's partly based on some research which shows the most sustainable communities range to about 120 non-governed communities, range to about 120 to 150 people within the community where you don't need a government. The community governs itself because nobody's trying to be the boss or make decisions, or I can't say nobody. I've never lived in one, so I don't know. But there seems to be a research number of around about the 120, 150 mark of communities. So conceptually, what we're exploring is, well, what if we create some kind of a farm that has no real borders, that the food is open to whoever needs it? So we can take the food off the table of the community in which we serve. And as soon as I take the food off the table, and I'm not expecting anybody to do anything on the farm. If you would like to get involved, that would be amazing. And the whole farm was built on a culture of honor. So as people step in, come get food. I mean, because the farm will sustain itself and the yields are massive. And if I'm honoring the earth, not to create food to sell back to checkers, to sell to people, which, I don't have enough thought process around that. But if I'm honoring the earth enough to go, let the people come in. If you ravage the farm, that's okay. That's fine. Ravage it. Together we'll build it. Because again, some other research that rolled out in the mines was they're having a problem with, it's just so interesting, they're having problems with the mining storehouse being so far away from when the mine was happening. And so they put a context, well, what they did was the guy had a fairly big pain threshold, and he put a parts little shack really close to where sorry, it's my son going wild. Really close to where the graders were. So, and he never locked it. So there were like nuts and bolts and screws and basic stuff in that shack. Never locked it. And in the first month it was cleaned out, and the second month it was cleaned out, and the third month it wasn't. And by the 6th month, it was not cleaned out. By the 6th month, people could go in and out as they wanted to literally just fix the machines. Now, based on that thinking, what Bron and I are exploring is, how do we create a farm that's non-governed by a government? It's governed by a set of people who learn to dialogue, holding each other accountable through love. So it's not it'd be a case of, hey, MJ, you really pissed me off today. Can we sit down and discuss it? Rather than, oh, MJ really pissed me off and this is not fair. And, and all of a sudden you have this real toxic scenario. But when that happens, the person that I'm bitching and moaning to elevates me, helps me elevate myself again. To don't forget who you are, go speak to him. And if you can't, let's get a mediator to go speak with someone, and you get to say what you want to say. And so this is our exploration of what we see the future being, because the future is going to be choice. Currently it's choice. And you get to choose based on the knowledge, experience that you have. And if you base everything on your experience, you're screwed, because I have a problem of doing that. And if you're not observing other people's experiences in the world, you're stuck. You'll be stuck in your mind. And so for me, the next future that I can see, the next, what is necessary are these, and it's happening. I mean, it's not like I'm the first person. I mean, this is happening in a lot of places, and everyone's got different philosophies and different, and it's so enlightening. And I think that as communities come together, if they can, like what we're doing here, there's a really good on this group, there's a really good constitution, really well defined. It's really clear. It's really stuff you can chew on. Now, I'm sure if we all had to discuss point for point, we'd have what 20 different people's perspective of which each point means. But that's the beauty of this thing called honor. And if that's what we're driving towards, you can be within communities, and then the communities serve the broader communities, which I have no idea, but maybe those broader communities would then try their own, because we've taken the need for self-sustaining food off the table. Of course, the argument is once you enlighten yourself, you actually don't need to eat. Once you get to levels of enlightenment and your frequency hits certain levels, well, food is no longer a need for you at all. It's totally taken. And then, I mean, I don't listen to some of you guys speak. It's just pretty freaking awesome, because you're talking about the possibility. And I'm still working from the very real Joburg. I live in that Joburg house. Let me just go to what the next thing would be that kind of self-sustaining farm. My wife's on her journey. My wife's like, she's way on your journey. So, I mean, she's always got these really cool, strange things. And I really love her for it. But anyway, so that's my perspective. That's what I'd like to offer to the table, and, to chew on, and, we can all hopefully learn and grow.
That was flippin' cool. Thank you. Thank you very much, Darren. Let me see.
Cool.
Yeah, it was cool. Donna, you are unmuted. You've got to speak. Come, tell us.
Hi, everybody. Yes,
Hi.
I was
Welcome.
listening for a while, and every time somebody speaks, I wanted to reply and say something. So it's becoming difficult to catch up all those different leads and the people that the conversation that was happening. But virtually, I wanted to mention it's one observation, and it's part of my vision and what I do or what I want to do. Is that everybody's consciousness or level of the consciousness is different. And exactly as MJ was talking about, that you cannot take people and let them jump too far, because they virtually are not able to cross such a distance in everything, into totally different change of lifestyle, environment, completely different situation. So you realize that by being able to create a different centers and different environment that they can come and experience, you allowing them to do the look into, let's say, like now when Daryl was talking about the conscious farm, they can come for a visit and they can virtually be able to experience something completely different, just to peek into it and go back to their own space and allow the experience to work on them, to see, to feel if they like it, or if they can change, if they want to go further in their life, if they want to actually be part of something else. So that experience is actually absolutely important. And the diversity, whatever people are creating in a different groups or different, kind of different farms or cities or whatever, it's ultra important. So it makes people grow because, just by experiencing something completely different, it opens up something within them that starts actually creating the communication, and that brings about the change. So virtually, some people do have the very small, narrow, conscious group where they live in, and they feel safe in there, and they don't want to go further. So some people see virtually like MJ, you are a person with global consciousness. So, you know, you are able to do major projects with in between different countries and so on. So, you know, so like Daryl, you are looking into the kind of like community consciousness and so on. So it's always the how far we can reach. But virtually what I feel that, you know, like during the COVID, you know, second year, we actually were slammed and we were thrown into completely different reality. And, you know, that something was put in front of us that we did not expect and that didn't fit into our lives. But just want to say one thing about it, that we all have to look further behind it, you know, like further, you know, so it means more global situation. And that's where I'm basing myself on, that, you know, we are expecting major global changes. You know, we've got climate, we've got pole shift, we've got, you know, incredible amount of stuff that is accumulating, you know, to major conflicting situations on every level. So if we are able not to be focused on a small and narrow problem, but if we can look beyond it, if we can look for solutions, if we can see the overall situation in whatever else is there that we didn't notice, whatever else we have to see and know and understand to actually put into the complete understanding and addressing of looking for solutions from those different situations. So, you know, looking onto every aspect of our livelihood virtually and the life on this planet, that we have to upgrade, we have to change, and we have to actually provide exactly as we're saying, the future that we want to see to happen, because there will be many changes and we are totally unprepared for anything, as I've noticed. So, but it's so important that everything was ruffled and everything was actually somehow shifted out of the usual kind of smallness of life of people, and but it means that it's very important to look still beyond that what came in as the COVID. It came in as a global change, but there are many more different global changes coming, and we need to see everything that's behind it. So we cannot be just small-minded. You know, I just wanted to mention that usually the fear that people experience is actually coming from that that there is so much that is hidden and that they don't know about, and they cannot span the distance exactly as MJ is talking about. They cannot span, you know, they cannot, you know, kind of like fit into the big changes, and they have no solutions. They have fear of having to change. They have a fear of the step forward because they don't know how and what needs to be done. So that's why I see as ultra important the visionary people to be able to offer those different possibilities of experiences, experiencing different setup, different community designs, different projects and different things. And but you know, like I'm focusing on one complete project, which is the major eco-village project, where we would have everything, including the technology, where we would have the healing, where we would have the kind of like a different type of communal structures to to introduce like a real culture. It means like something that's very beautiful, that's very positive, and that's very healing, and where is music, where is dance, where is all of that as a cultural aspect, as a beautiful aspect, because that's what makes us human, and that's what actually soothes the soul, and that's what actually is creating the bond again for our spirit and for our heart to actually expand in positive way. So yes, yeah, it feels like too much, but it's not too much. It's just the complexity of life. But all of those changes need to actually come from the heart, and be communication between the highest consciousness and between the highest knowledge and observation, and back again into the heart, and back in communication with everybody on whatever level they are able to perceive or are able to communicate with. So yeah, just wanted to mention
a new life.
Yeah. So yes, I believe that we have to change lots, because usually people are looking backwards, like in everything, in a livelihood, in a design of their houses, into structuring their little unit of their life. That's everything copies the kind of like what was done in the past and so on, and people somehow live in this. But now is the time when we actually need to step into this uncharted territory and create something that has not been done, or maybe partially it has been done before, like when the villages were started by the people that came into no man's land, and they started working and creating, what they needed to have around themselves and how they wanted to live. So they created it. And now, virtually we're doing the same thing, only we are already, much further in the process, because we've experienced many different levels of possibilities in the cities, in the villages, in the rural farms, and into all different levels of life. So we can choose the important components from each and take them forward and take them into the future life or future design, and into or on that level that will satisfy our vision for the future. So yeah, that's my side of things.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Donna. That was great. Thank you. Sounds like a nice eco village.